I'm Ashina. I'm a co-leader of Seattle Coffee Apps and a senior account manager for Randstad Technologies. And if you don't know what those things are, you should ask me afterwards. My talk is about negotiating for your next job, because if you're in tech, you're going to do that a lot. As in many fields, one of the few opportunities you have to make more money or get more responsibilities or get a better title is when you change jobs, like Sarah. Now, hopefully this won't be the norm forever in tech, but until then, let's talk about the negotiation conversation. By the end of my talk, you should know what to expect about going into a conversation about your new job, how to approach the conversation around your target salary, and what else you could and should be asking for in that conversation. I have 2 disclaimers for you. This will not be about how you should withhold your first number, which is a common negotiation practice. I also actually hate cats. But what my market research reported is that in order to have an engaging presentation for a tech conference, I needed to give you lots of cat memes. So I have a couple more. In your very first conversation with a company, you will be talking with HR or recruiter, and they will want to talk about numbers. So make sure you've done your research. You haven't just asked your friends, but you've figured out from companies like PayScale what someone with your skill set and years of experience should be making. Now, they will want to talk about a specific number that you're looking for, and they may even ask you what you're making depending on what state you live in. Now, I always suggest starting by saying, I'm targeting X, but can be flexible for the right opportunity. That accomplishes both coming off well compensated and focus on the opportunity. An anchor bias is the cognitive bias that explains our fixation with the very first number, even when subsequently and our subsequent failure to adjust, even when that number is proven irrelevant. So if you get stuck with an unfavorable bias, make sure you state clearly that number is unacceptable, you will not meet them in the middle, and then give them your counteroffer. Now, I don't think that you should lie or bluff or give them an ultimatum, but if it's truly a number you could never come close to, you should tell them. Your conversation with HR is actually not a negotiation. They are taking information that qualifies you or disqualifies you for the job. So that's another reason why having flexibility in your number can be helpful in this conversation. Now, let's say they come back and they say, no, really, we need to know what you're targeting, what you're making. So make sure when you respond, you include your entire compensation plan. And by that, I mean, in your previous job, your signing bonus, your annual bonus. This can also look like equity, an unbeatable 401k match, really incredible healthcare, a conference budget, education budget, whatever it is, it matters. If you present only your base salary when there are other big factors in your compensation plan, you could be crippling your negotiation by putting yourself in the wrong bracket. Now, hopefully you are interviewing with a company that recognizes they should just pay you at or above market rate in order to even just retain talent. But not all companies can pay equally. So let's talk about what else you could talk about. Did you know that the signing bonus comes from an entirely different budget? And while it should never replace a salary that they can't pay you since it's not annual, it's certainly something that you could say would make your decision easier if they wanted to give you one. Now, it's never going to hurt you to ask, and while not every company can offer it to you, they certainly won't start with a signing bonus unless they're a really big company, so you need to ask for it. In my current company, I just asked my boss, do you ever offer signing bonuses? And she said, I don't know. No one's ever asked me before. Long story long, I did in fact get a signing bonus when no other team member had ever been offered one because I asked. Make sure you also have a number in mind because they will ask you what number you're targeting. So the last thing I have time to talk to you about is your title. And while that title may not matter to you, and it doesn't really matter to me, the reality is it does affect your career progression. So it's important to think about it. It's not just because it'll make your other engineers give you more respect, but also because it affects where you're going to go. And a fluffy title, of course, is not going to help you, but making sure that your title is commensurate with your job duties and responsibilities is just as important as making sure you're making market rate. And often those two things go hand in hand. If you're interviewing for a more senior title, then you have access to a higher pay bracket, and it can affect your promotion path, your raise eligibility. So take the title that you've earned, label yourself the way society wants you to, and also it will help your recruiter figure out really where you should lie. So as promised, another final cat meme and second to last slide. But seriously, it does not hurt, just like all of the other things I mentioned, to ask for a better title. And they may not have that flexibility, but they might. And I don't want you to miss out on the forward progression and momentum in your career. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Ronstadt, for sending me. And I hope I made the negotiation part of your new job something not to be afraid of.